In this tutorial session, we'll be focusing on ENG1504 assignment number 1. If you're new to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to become a member in order to access private content, please click on the join button. Without wasting your time, let us look at the objectives of this tutorial session. So this is what we are going to do. I'll first take you through the background information, and then we'll read the assignment instructions, and lastly I'll provide you with a complete example answer. Please note that if you are not a member, you'll probably get access to the complete answer few days before the submission date. Okay, so let us look at the background information. Okay, so the background information reads as follows. Madikwa Holdings is a property agent contracted to manage Sun Packet residential property owned by Miss Louisa. This property is situated in the precinct of Santa Maria City. For the past 15 years, the property generated a revenue of 5.5 million per annum. However, in the past 3 years, from 2022 to 2024, the revenue has dropped significantly by 50% since Madikwa Holdings was contracted to manage the residential property. The apartments are dilapidated, lifts are not working, and there is no security personnel to control access of visitors to the building. Ms. Louisa has called an urgent meeting with the body corporate management of Madikwa Holdings and representatives of the tenants to discuss strategies to return the building to its original state. Okay, so that is the background information. So after reading this background information, you understand why the meeting was called. Okay, they are trying to address the issue of a dilapidated building. Okay, so with that out of the way, let us look at the instructions. So basically your instructions is where they give you information about what you are supposed to do. Below is a transcript, which is exact words written down of what was said under the relevant agenda item 2.1, presented in the form of a dialogue. As the secretary of the body corporate, it is your duty to take minutes during meetings. At this point, the meeting is discussing agenda item 2.1, strategies to return the Sun Packet residential property to its original state. Write minutes of the meeting for agenda 2.1 only. This is important. We carefully select and summarize information and make changes to style and grammar. Note that you should not record what each person said in turn. You should use the linear format. This simply means your meeting minutes will be in sentences and paragraphs. Your minutes should be about 1 page. So when they say it should be about 1 page, it simply means that even if you go over 1 page, you shouldn't go by more than 4 lines. I'll advise you not to go over 1 page plus 4 lines. Okay, so if it's less than a page, it should not be like half a page. Okay, make sure that it's approximately 1 page. Okay, so now we have the instructions, we have the background information, and we are in the right position to begin writing our assignment. But before you write your assignment, you have to read the transcript at least 2 to 3 times. Okay, remember, when reading your transcript, you keep in mind the main objective of the meeting. Okay, the main objective of the meeting is to look for strategies to return the Sun Packet residential property to its original state. So anything that is discussed in the meeting that is not related to that is not going to be included as part of our meeting minutes. Okay, let us read the transcript, but I'll use a different strategy when it comes to the transcript. Okay, so we are going to use lecture slides where I'll copy this information here exactly as it is written here, and then write it on the lecture slide and just below it, and I'll show you how to summarize that piece of information if it must be included in your meeting minutes. Okay, so that's how we are going to proceed from now until the end of the lesson. So if you have your tutorial later, you'll notice that the first person to speak was Mr. Donaldson, which is the chair. Okay, and this is what he said. It's my pleasure to welcome you in this meeting, although it was called at short notice. Ladies and gentlemen, without any waste of time, I want us to move to agenda item 2.1, strategies to return the Sandpacket residential property to its original state. We all know that our rental business at Sandpacket residential property has collapsed. The property is vandalized and the tenants have terminated their lease agreement. Very little income is generated. Okay, so that is what he said. And then let us look at what you're supposed to write in terms of meeting minutes. Okay, remember when we write meeting minutes, we use firstly past tense, okay, and then we change the style and the grammar. Okay, we make sure that the grammar or the style is actually formal. This is how you could have summarized the information above. The chair, Mr. Donaldson, opened the discussion by highlighting the deteriorating condition of the Sandpacket residential property, emphasizing vandalism, loss of tenants, and reduced income as major concerns. Okay, so if you compare the two statements here, you will notice that the language is different. However, we are still saying the same thing. Don't use bombastic words that nobody really understands. That does not serve the purpose. Okay, make sure that the language is sufficient for your audience. Okay, so with that out of the way, let us look at what the next speaker said and how we could have summarized the information. Okay, the next person to speak in the meeting was Miss Mtombeni, and this is what she had to say. It's a pity that we can't unscramble X. If I knew who these vandals are and who is looting the funds that we intend for managing this property, I will ensure that they are locked in jail and keys are thrown away forever. Guys, I don't think you know who I am, do you? Okay, so this information could have been summarized as follows. Ms. Mtombeni expressed frustrations over the mismanagement and vandalism of the property, demanding accountability. Okay, as much as this information can be summarized, but it does not really add value to our meeting minutes. Even if you decide to omit this one, it will be fine. Okay, this is not important information, but you can include this and you will not be penalized. Okay, so let us look at the next speaker's message. So the next person was the owner of the building, which is Miss Louisa. Okay, and this is what she said. Miss Mtombeni, we understand your frustration as one of the tenants who has been renting a flat in this property for donkey years. The property was indeed everything to you. Now let's discuss the matter at hand about returning the residential property to its original state. Think about new strategies that can be used to change the status quo of this property. It could be in terms of raising funds, better ways to manage the property, or anything else. So this could have been summarized as follows. If you included the first part, you will have to use this one. But if you ignore the first part, you can ignore this one as well. Okay, and it says, Ms. Louisa redirected the discussion towards finding practical solutions rather than dwelling on past issues. Okay, so I'd advise you to ignore these two. Okay, what was said by Ms. Mtombeni and what is said by Ms. Louisa. I don't think it adds much value. I'm just showing you how you could have summarized the information here, but in your final output, just remove this. Do not add this. Okay, so let us look at the next speaker. Okay, so the next person to speak was Mr. Donaldson again, and this is what he said. I fully agree with you, Miss Louisa. Stop complaining and provide suggestions, please. Okay, so even here, there's nothing of value here. You just skip this information and you don't include it as part of your meeting minutes. Okay, then we go to Dr. Farai. And this is what he said. As the member of the body corporate, I think it could be advisable that we apply for a bank loan so that the property is refurbished. What about applying for a 2 million loan? Is that too much or too little? Okay, so you could have summarized this information as follows. Dr. Farai proposed applying for a 2 million bank loan to fund the refurbishment of the property. Okay, this information is important. Make sure that you do not ignore it. As you proceed, okay, make sure that everything is written in past tense, okay, and your language is formal. That's basically all you do when you write meeting minutes. Okay, at the moment I'm just summarizing what each person is saying, but they will combine these to form paragraphs at a later stage. Okay, when I show you the complete example in my Word document, you'll see how this information could have been structured, okay, or you could possibly structure it. Okay, so let us move on to the next speaker.